Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. The derby is here, it's there in 2 days, and thankfully, thank God the international break is over. I mean, it was so boring. I mean, more than boring, it was kind of, you were thinking which player will get injured. It was kind of, we were more fearful than bored of the international break. You didn't know how the players would return, in which condition they would return. So it's almost like I would just say thank God the international break is over. I mean, just looking at what Arsenal players, a couple of them are injured. For example, United players, Rashford is not there. So Spurs players, I think one or two of them have picked up a knock in the international. So, but I'll just start off with the bad news first with John Stones. John Stones is out injured. Pep Guardiola has the first question that Pep Guardiola has been asked in the press conference is uh, is John Stones fit to play tomorrow? And Pep told no, he's out. And the most revealing thing was it's not that Stones was out. Initially, I thought okay, Stones will be out for a week or so because it's a hamstring injury. Pep said John Stones is out for 4 to 5 weeks at least, which means that John Stones is not going to come back before December. So I would say it's a bit of a blow. I know that Kyle Walker's pace is back. We'll discuss in the predicted lineup. I know that Kyle Walker's pace will be very, very important for tomorrow's game. But John Stones, the way he was going into the midfield from the fullback position, the way he was settling into that inverted fullback system. Kyle Walker was struggling with that inverted fullback system. Let us be honest here. Against Newcastle, we were just scratching our heads in the first half. Against Aston Villa, first half was one of the most snooze fest, boring games I've ever seen City play. In the last decade, that half against Aston Villa. So Walker was struggling. Walker was struggling in that inverted fullback system. So I would say it's a blow that John Stones is not there. But the good news is Aymeric Laporte is back. Pep said that Laporte has been ferociously training for the last 1 week, 2 weeks or so. Last 2, 3 weeks actually, not just 1 week. But he hasn't trained with his teammates. So I wouldn't back Pep to start Laporte. Okay, if Pep thinks we need a left-footed defender who can break the lines of United, then maybe Laporte might start. But it's highly unlikely that Laporte would start the derby straight away after being out injured for so long. Sumant is here. Hey Sumant, how are you doing? He says excited for the derby. Double excited, Sumant. Double excited. Not fearful at all here. Just plainly excited. You know what? A lot of United fans are telling that City should be a bit fearful because United will hit us on the break just like they did against Arsenal. But who are the defenders against Arsenal? And who are the defenders that play for City? You have to remember that you're comparing your performance against an Arsenal who, for the last 2 decades, 1.5 decade, 15, 16 years, haven't even won a title, haven't even come close to being in a top three race, forget the title race. And you're comparing that performance against us who have aced the entire decade with trophies, who have just won trophy after trophy after trophy. So the experience, when playing against counter-attacking teams, the one thing you need is experience and making those tactical fouls and stuff like that. Arsenal didn't do controlling the tempo of the game, which I think we have certain players in there who can do that, but. I think controlling there's nothing to fear about this United team. There's nothing to fear that they will hit us with pace on the break. Why, I'll tell you, but let us just get into the lineup selection first, and then we can have some uh, chatter about which players should play tomorrow and stuff like that. Suman says Akanji to start. It's just a magic Pandora's box. Sumant over there. Let's see what I select. Uh, Left back, by the way, I think this. Left back is. I can give it to Joao Cancelo there. I mean, you would think that left back is Cancelo and right back is Walker. But Pep mentioned something important in that Newcastle game. He said we were unable to control the tempo of the game. None of our defenders, none of our attackers, okay, leave the attackers apart, but Pep mentioned none of our defenders managed to control the tempo of the game. They gave the ball away. I mean, too much, far too much to the Newcastle attackers in important areas. So when you look at that, I think is there a chance? Is there a case where we would say Sergio Gomez could start over Joao Cancelo, because Sergio Gomez he can hold the game by the scruff of the neck in terms of just suffocating the opponent, keeping the ball, suffocating the opponent, playing one twos with your Rodri, playing one twos with your De Bruyne, your Bernardo Silva. The opponent will be shit frustrated and tired of that sort of a thing. So would it be? But my thing is Pep wouldn't maybe risk a Sergio Gomez, so I'm going to go with Joao Cancelo. Pep is just because of the lack of experience. Otherwise, I would not be surprised if Pep would have started Sergio Gomez over there. I just think he's not experienced enough to start. The right back position, you will have to go with Kyle Walker. There's nothing else over there. You will have to go with Walker just for a sheer pace. How United are gonna line up. It's not a magic lineup or something, unpredictable lineup or something. United are gonna have Anthony on one side and Jadon Sancho on the other side. So both pace merchants. So you need Kyle. I mean the thing with Kyle Walker is it gives you centre backs more of an assurance to step forward that 2-3 yards, so that they know that even if Sancho or even if an Anthony runs behind, Kyle Walker will catch him. Even if they have a head start on Walker, Kyle will go and get them. So that's the confidence. And what happens when your defense moves 2-3 steps forward, the entire team moves 2-3 steps forward. It means we will be filling the box up with numbers. It means we will be suffocating suffocating United in a box where they will not have an out ball, and that is where City kill opponents. So the importance of Kyle Walker is just threefold, fourfold here, especially against United. Unless Pep just tries to play with that inverted fullback system, then the dynamic changes. If Pep wants to play with that inverted fullback system, then just play Cancelo and Sergio Gomez over there, because Kyle Walker is just a liability in that inverted fullback system. He's not as good on the ball. You know what is happening with the inverted fullback system, especially if you observe the matches against Newcastle, matches against Aston Villa. Teams are suffocating Cancelo, teams are marking Cancelo, they're doubling up on Cancelo, and they're allowing Kyle Walker to have the ball in the midfield. And of all the players on the pitch, Kyle Walker is the most limited one on the ball. So he's not able to create much in anything special. So teams are actually hurting us in that way. I know that Walker's pace is very good, but in an inverted fullback system, he becomes a liability more than an asset to the team. So if it's an inverted fullback system, I would not want Kyle Walker. But now the answer to Suman's question will be revealed here. Centre back, I would go for Akanji here, centre back pairing. One of the centre back. Of course, Suman, there's no reason why Akanji can't play. Okay, Akanji will not start. See, Ruben Diaz is coming off a fairly good international break. Though international breaks are not a fair reflection of your form. Laporte is back from training. Ake has had a wonderful start to the season. He's looked very good in the previous game as well. So, I mean, you'd say that Akanji, lack of experience in the derby. Pep said one thing in the press conference. Pep said that Akanji has that positional intelligence. See, when you have that positional intelligence, it doesn't matter what is the occasion. It doesn't matter where are you playing, which game you're playing. Doesn't matter at all. And Akanji has all of that. And add to that, do you guys know what is Akanji's pace? Akanji's pace it's more than Joao Cancelo. And Cancelo is quick. Not Kyle Walker quick, but Cancelo is quick. So Akanji is a very good pacey centre back. Sometimes people underestimate the pace of Akanji. So suddenly you're looking at the back three, and United fans were thinking they can hit us on the break. But you look at these back three, Walker, extreme pace. Cancelo, pace. Is not a dud. He's not a tortoise. Cancelo, good pace. not extreme, but between medium to extreme. Akanji, very good pace, more than Cancelo. So suddenly, three of the back four have very good pace, and add to that, I'll put in another centre back. Maybe people would think that Ruben Diaz should start, but I disagree. It's not Ruben Diaz who's starting. It's Nathan Ake for me who's starting. Again with Ruben Diaz, I think that the question you'll have to ask is, does Ruben Diaz suit this game? The answer actually is no. Because United will be attacking with pace at you. They'll have runners from deep. Dalot, for example, will be trying to overlap. Malaysia will be trying to overlap. Bruno will be trying to make those runs from the deep. I know that Rashford is injured and Ronaldo might play, but is it gonna be a physical battle or is it gonna be a foot race tomorrow for United? It will be a foot race for me more than anything else, and Nathan Ake, and it will be a foot. See, two things: it will be a foot race and it will be one-on-one defending. And both Ake and Akanji are excellent at one-on-one defending. I would go as far as to say that Ake is the second most second best defender in the Premier League behind Van Dijk in terms of pure one-on-one defending. It's almost impossible for you to win one-on-one duels against Nathan Ake. He always takes the right decision. And also Ake's left footer, his passing has improved. He's opening up new angles now. He's aggressive going with the ball, which was not the Ake of past season. Ake of even the last season was into himself. He always looked to play it square to his partner centre back or look to play it square to Cancelo. But Ake of this season is, come on, I will play through the press of the opponent. I will pass through the opponent defensive lines. So Ake has improved a lot for me. Nathan Ake and Akanji are, I would even say, they're the two most informed defenders in Europe, not just the league. So Ake and Akanji are starting for me, and you look at this back four, and it's a pacey back four. I think it's one of the most paciest back fours in the entire back fours in the Premier League. You can compare it to any of the back four in the Premier League, and Akanji pace, Walker extreme pace, Ake pace. We have to remember that Ake played as a fullback before as well, so he's got pace. Cancelo pace. So very very good back four, I would say. Just let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this back four? Would you, for example, have had Akanji Diaz pairing? Or would you like to play Diaz instead of Akanji, or would you have started Sergio Gomez? Just let me know in the comments below. Are you happy with this back four, or do you have an alternative to some position? Do let me know in the comments. This should be easy. The CDM position, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. It's Rodri. Maybe if Calvin Phillips was fit, I would maybe. And I know it seems nonsensical. I know it seems foolish to say, would you play Rodri, or if, for example, in a hypothetical situation, if Phillips was fit. But Calvin Phillips, we need to remember. See, tomorrow I have no doubt that United will almost sit back a bit and try to hit us on the break. And Calvin Phillips, if you remember, he was doing it day in and day out. Uh, for Marcelo Bielsa's team, holding the entire team going gung ho, and Phillips was just holding the fort alone there. So and with Calvin Phillips, the one thing that Rodri lacks and which Calvin Phillips has is the mobility across the field. There's nothing wrong in a CDM player not having extreme mobility like a Fernandinho. See, there are two types of central defensive midfield players. One is your Rodri's, your Busquets, your Xabi Alonso's. Are they not successful? They have been one of the generational CDM players. And then you have another type, your Fernandinos, your Calvin Phillips, your N'Golo Kante, for example, who can just cover the entire length of the pitch, who are very quick. So, for this game, I would maybe have played Calvin Phillips just for his mobility. He would have offered what Fernandino would have offered. Just he would have held the fort by himself, and both the attacking midfielders would have gone. But with Rodri, I still think that Rodri cannot hold the fort by himself, and he needs a Bernardo Silva beside him. See, that's not bad at all, but it's just that maybe Pep would have preferred Calvin Phillips if Phillips was fit and in form, and yeah, over both Rodri and Phillips for this kind of a game. Suman says maybe Walker, Akanji, Diaz, Ake. But Suman, the creativity of Cancelo will be will be very important because Walker Akanji Diaz Ake, which means that Ake will play at left back, right? But we need the creativity of Cancelo again because see, then opponents will leave Ake on the ball, opponents will leave Walker on the ball, and both are limited. Okay, Ake is a bit more creative than Walker, but it's not like a Cancelo. Cancelo can play a De Bruyne-esque passes. So I think Cancelo will play for sure. For me, the only doubt is it Ake or is it Diaz? Because Laporte, he's not, Pep won't throw him into a derby. So it's Ake or Diaz. I think that is the only thing. And I think the vote will go in favor of Ake just because he's left footed. He's been in top form, he's left footed, he's pacey. And I think it's an important thing that whenever Pep plays against counter-attacking teams, he always plays with the left-footed centre back. He always wants that left-footed centre back. That's because he can open up new passing angles when the opponent just wants to, for example, press. He can just pass easily. A lot of things Pep likes about left-footed defenders against counter-attacking teams. I think in an entire decade, if you see, it's very rare that Pep plays two right-footed defenders against counter-attacking teams. Now the two central midfield position, one is very very easy. I mean, anyone can pick this. It's Kevin De Bruyne. He's been in great goal scoring form for Belgium as well. He's had two goals, I think, if I'm not wrong. He's had a couple of assists thrown in as well. So Kevin De Bruyne, that is, there's no question about it. And the second thing is, who would you play in the second attacking midfielder position? I mean, second central midfield position. Is it gonna be Bernardo Silva or is it gonna be your Ikai Gundogan? Now, this is not as easy as it seems. I've seen a few combined 11 videos of United City on the social media, and everyone almost has had the midfield of Rodri. I mean, even United fans have had the midfield of Rodri, De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva. But I don't think Bernardo Silva here is a sure starter. It depends on what Pep thinks United will do. Does Pep actually think that United will sit back and then hit us on the counter? If Pep thinks United will do it like that, then I think Gundogan will start. You remember the last match the match of the last season, Aston Villa, Bernardo Silva started, then Gundogan came on and changed the game. There were a couple of matches last season when counter-attacking teams were sitting back, Bernardo Silva was replaced at halftime and Gundogan changed the game. I do think it depends on the approach United will take, what Pep thinks about analyzing, about his knowledge of Ten Hag, that whether Gundogan will start or Bernardo Silva starts. It's not gonna be an easy game. But for me, one thing strikes. I would maybe go with the Bernardo Silva or Gundogan, just because in the press conference, Pep told that we need to play the perfect game tomorrow, which means that that statement from Pep allows you to have a glimpse of his mind. It tells you that Pep thinks United are gonna nick all of the loose balls in the midfield. He doesn't think United will just park the bus and hit us on an extreme counter like a relegation team will do or something like that. But Pep actually thinks that United will sort of set up in that mid block and something like that, and they will look to mop up any of the loose things, pick up the loose bits in the midfield, and then and then you'll give a pass to your Anthony, Sancho, or whoever playing is striker, and they're off. So I do think that Pep will look at Bernardo Silva here as someone who does not leave any bits in the midfield. Bernardo Silva is absolutely, science, physics, everything says that no machine is 100%, but Bernardo Silva is 100% here. He does not have any waste discharges or something like that. So Pep will pick Bernardo Silva just for his safety aspect in terms of holding on to the ball, in terms of Ten Hag will look at that Wolves game and look at that phase, between 45 minutes to sort of 60, 65 minutes when we just struggled, even though Wolves were 10 men and Wolves, it seemed that Wolves might just almost score a goal. Ten Hag will look at that and Ten Hag will think, okay, maybe we can press them here. So Pep will be wary of that, and that's why I think Pep will play Bernardo Silva just to be more press resistant. So I think it's Bernardo Silva over there, but I would not be surprised if a Gundogan starts again. So the left wing again is in easy. I mean, it's not an easy thing. Let us just finish off with the striker, because the striker is very easy. City have even sent a physio back to the Norway team as well with Haaland, just to maintain his fitness and stuff. Pep was asked about it. About how about isn't it weird that a physio is going to the national team from the club team just for the fitness of a player? And Pep was like, Haaland struggled a lot in Dortmund with injuries, and we really want to maintain a close eye on him. So I think Pep, the physios are doing an excellent job with Haaland. So the battle of Haaland, Lisandro Martinez will be interesting. Even Haaland, Varane will be interesting. Varane is tall, but I don't think any central defender in the league. You see, Haaland is taller than Joachim Anderson, and I don't think of Crystal Palace, and I don't think there's any defender who's taller than Joachim Anderson in the Premier League. Maybe Bednarek. So Haaland is taller than most defenders, but again, it's just a nonsensical thing to compare someone over height. When Fabio Cannavaro, for example, was one of the smallest defenders in terms of height. He was below 6 feet and he still won the Ballon d'Or. He was the only defender in the last 20 years to do it. So I don't get into those arguments, but what will be interesting in that battle between Haaland and Lisandro Martinez will be the positional sense, the reading of the game, the intelligence of Lisandro Martinez will be very interesting. I mean, is very good. And in the same way, the intelligence of Haaland and positional sense is also very good. So the battle between Haaland and Lisandro Martinez will not be physical. It will more be mental. It will be about the spaces that Haaland will try to drag Lisandro Martinez into with his world class movement, and how Lisandro Martinez will respond to that. Haaland, people think if Haaland doesn't score a goal, he hasn't scored only in one game. If he doesn't score a goal, then he's had a bad game. But Haaland will never have a bad game in his career, because just with his world class movement, he will create chances for other players. So it's going to be a huge mental battle between Haaland and Lisandro Martinez. It's going to test the tactical side of understanding for Lisandro Martinez. It's going to test the tactics of Eric Ten Hag. So Haaland is going to ask a lot of Manchester United, but most of it will not be seen to us on the TV screen, for example, because his movement off the ball, that's how he damages the opponents. And left wing, for me again, this left wing and these right wing positions, would you actually play Jack Grealish on the left? It's a question. Or would you play Phil Foden on the left? See, this is a question I'm just not able to get my head around it. Who do you play in the left wing position? Let me just think. Would you like to have someone on the left wing who just runs at the opposition players? Or would you like to have someone like a Grealish who controls the tempo of the game? See, my feeling here could be maybe you just put Foden on the left wing and Alvarez on the right wing. By the way, Alvarez had an excellent international break as well, when Foden had an excellent international break. So, I mean, the one minus point of that approach is what happened against Newcastle. There will be no one to control the tempo of the game. If you just put Haaland and Alvarez there, and against counter-attacking teams, where you lose the game is when you are on the attack, you lose the game. When you're on the attack, you for example, if you go and finish the attack and score a goal, that is fine. But when you can't score a goal, you can't finish every attack, right? You can't finish off every attack. So when you don't do that, then the opponent gets the chance to do a quick counter. But someone like a Grealish, what he does is he gets the ball, he helps us to get back into our shape, and then he plays those 1, 2, 3 passes, and then we are on an attacking this thing. So I think against a counter-attacking team, that phase of play is very important. That phase of play in terms of holding on to the ball, relieving your opponent, relieving your own teammates. Having controlling the tempo is very important in a way. So I would. Suman says Phil Foden. I will honor your request, Sumant. It will be Phil Foden, but it will not be on the left wing. So on the left wing, I'm going with Jack Grealish here on the left wing. And on the right wing, I'll actually go with Phil Foden. I mean, I was actually tempted to put in Riyad Mahrez on the right wing. I mean, this also could be good, Foden on the left and Riyad Mahrez on the right. But I somehow think that Grealish in that Wolves game, Grealish has developed that intuition, that sense of making more runs into the box, that sense of being more aggressive with the ball and without the ball. Those are some of the striking attributes in that Wolves game. So, and he controlled the tempo of the game extremely well as well. So, and Foden, of course, on the right, he can just run at the defenders, left-footed player. Just he can just cut in. He doesn't need to, get the ball onto his stronger foot and need to dribble in like he's playing on the left. He can just take the ball and just run at opponents like Raheem Sterling used to do when Sterling used to play on the left-hand side. So I actually think Foden on the right, it could be a career changing position for Foden as well. Someone says Foden, Haaland, Grealish. Uh, would you say Grealish on the right? But I think you put Grealish on the left and you put Grealish on the right. It's the same. It's the same thing because Grealish is not someone who really loves to run at players, and he just needs to get the ball, and he loves to dribble inside, right? So, right-footed player playing on the right who likes to dribble inside, I don't think that's a good fit. But I know that I'm actually gonna be bashed a lot by you lot because I'm not giving a place to Julian Alvarez here. I'm actually thinking now, where would you play Julian Alvarez? Because for all of these things, Julian Alvarez literally deserves a spot in the team, for everything he did, for the form he's in. Julian Alvarez has to play this, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if Pep plays a 4-4-2 with Haaland and Julian Alvarez as the two strikers. There was something very interesting in the Wolves game, roundabout in the 65th, 70th minute. Pep bought on Julian Alvarez, and both Haaland and Julian Alvarez were playing together. And then the camera slowly turned towards Pep, and he was having a sort of, that happy smile, that sort of a spark in his eye. The camera momentarily caught it. Kudos to the cameraman in terms of seeing both Haaland and Julian Alvarez link up and stuff like that. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Pep pulls a Pep on everyone, and he did it in a Champions League final. So you can it's expect the unexpected from Pep always. But I'm just thinking, how would a 4-4-2 look like? Maybe you push Grealish into the midfield as well, and then and then you maybe play Haaland and Julian Alvarez as your two strikers. I think that would also be very interesting, a 4-4-2. I know we have not seen it till now, but Pep could try it actually, because whom would you mark as a centre back? Will it be Haaland? Will it be Alvarez? There'll be a lot of questions over there. Bayaji says if Grealish doesn't start, I would like him to come in the midfield for a change and run at United players. Exactly, Bayaji. We were also discussing it, right? In the middle of the Wolves game when Grealish was given some minutes in the midfield. He was just running the show, especially when De Bruyne was substituted off, Gundogan was substituted off. Grealish was just running the show. I mean, keeping this into mind, see, Alvarez is in great form, and Jack Grealish loves playing in the midfield. I, I think 4-4-2 could be much suited than we might actually think. But then again, Foden misses out. How do you adjust that? Maybe you rotate Alvarez, Foden, and see, derby games are not just about personal. Derby games are not just about playing the informed players. Derby games are also about playing people like Foden, local lad. Everyone will be worked up for the derby, but Foden will just have that extra 4 or 5 inches for the derby. Local lad, born in Stockport, just near the Manchester Stadium. So I think Foden has to start tomorrow's derby. But yeah, you're right. Grealish, it almost seems that Grealish is a waste in the attacking three. The best attributes of Grealish can be accessed only in the midfield. But the unfortunate thing is, even last time I think we were discussing about it, the unfortunate thing is that Grealish has to jump over even a Gundogan to get a spot in the midfield, because Gundogan has been much better than Grealish in terms of an attacking sense, in terms of making those runs from the midfield. So it would be unfair on Pep to put Grealish in the midfield just because he's an 100 million pound player or whatever in ahead of Gundogan. So if Grealish plays in the midfield, the biggest hurdle is Gundogan will feel that he has to start ahead of Grealish. So that is so for me that is an other puzzle. I think even a week back or 2 weeks back also we were having a slight discussion on this after the Dortmund game, especially that Dortmund game and the game before also after the Sevilla game, that this season it's going to be about how Pep finds the best spot for each of these personnel. People are thinking that City are second in the league, just 1 point behind Arsenal, and some people are telling we might run away with the league. It's a one-man league and all of that. But to be fair to all of our results, the way we are playing, we aren't settled yet. There are at least 2-3 players in the team who don't know the best positions. There are at least two players who would feel that they need to be starting regularly. Alvarez is just one of those examples. See, Alvarez, Gundogan. What wrong did Gomez did? He was technically excellent. His positional sense seemed like even before he was being born, he was playing for Pep Guardiola, Sergio Gomez. His intelligence, his smartness. He hasn't got a game since that Sevilla game. His movement into the midfield. It's almost like Pep Guardiola had programmed Sergio Gomez as a robot and sent him to play there against Sevilla. He was so perfect in his movements, hasn't got a game. Alvarez was perfect. Alvarez hasn't got a game. After that, Nottingham Forest won. Gundogan's linking up with Haaland well. So this season for me, our success will depend on how Pep Guardiola will make sure that certain players will find their best position. Certain players, how Pep will adapt his system. The system is still building, if you can see. Okay, everyone thinks that Pep is trying out the inverted fullback system, but in a way, what Pep is experimenting with is a system where he can, fit maybe an extra player into the midfield without losing that attacking presence up front. Pep is looking at a system where maybe he can start both Haaland and Alvarez in such a way that Alvarez just plays behind Haaland, for example. 4-4-1-1 is where I think Alvarez is very, very effective. So there are there are 2-3 players whose best positions do not suit this system. Alvarez is one, Grealish is one. Could maybe say Foden rotating him. So I mean, Kyle Walker is another. If you're asking him to invert into the midfield, so a lot of questions for Pep to be answered in terms of how he sets up the team. We are just starting. We are just understanding in terms of. I know the arrival of Haaland has brought in some sweeping changes, but we are just understanding in terms of, again, Pep is understanding in terms of building the system to get the best out of all these players. Vinay says Foden, Haaland, Alvarez will smoke United, but Pep won't start Alvarez. Exactly, Vinay. I know that Pep won't start Alvarez, so I have even stopped putting Alvarez there. But again, Vinay, don't you think that starting Foden and Alvarez together, don't you think that there will be no tempo controller in the attacking three? It will be somewhat like a Newcastle again, end to end, end to end. And one thing we don't want against not only United but any counter-attacking team is end to end action. We need someone to control the tempo, and I think Grealish is that player. Vinay says, or will Pep play Gundo, Rodrick, ADB and Bernardo on the wings? Vinay, I don't want that, Vinay. I don't want that Bernardo on the wings. We hate it. I think Pep played that in Aston Villa first half or something like that, right? Bernardo on the wings, and it was just snooze fest. You could just slept off in that half and you wouldn't have even missed a heartbeat. It was so boring. I don't think, see, again, playing Bernardo on the wings is just like, there's no space in the vehicle, but still you're stuffing people in. It's not an optimum system. So, uh, see, I think we have discussed this on numerous occasions as well, that playing both Silva and Gundogan just disturbs the stability of the team and nothing else, because it just makes it too predictable. And on top of that, Pep plays a Bernardo Silva on the wing, and also Pep wants to invert his fullbacks, Walker and Cancelo. So then you suddenly are putting yourself into a box and throwing the keys in the river. You're suffocating yourself there. Everyone is attacking that middle when the space is on the wide. So I would want only one player to play out of both Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. Suman says that's why games should come thick and fast, so everyone is involved. Suman, yes, they will come thick and fast. October is just gonna be a glimpse of what the season is gonna be. Everyone's saying. So it's almost like fasten your seatbelts, and I don't think we'll even have a moment to rest because we have the Carabao Cup game starting now. I think it's a game every 2-3 days from now on. That's why I think Pep actually said that the real tussle, the real championship, the real tournament will start now. This is the time from which we really have to be focused on. I think that's why Pep was heavily experimenting in the first few games of the season before this international break. I think Pep knows that now is the great thing about Pep is the great thing about championship winning teams is they're not they realize it's a marathon, but they also realize that you need to get into that groove at a certain point of time. You need to pick up the momentum at the right point of time, and Pep knows to hold that nerve when to pick up the momentum at the right point of time. So I think Pep is an expert at that. So from this game onwards, from the derby onwards, I think we'll see a much more settled formation. We'll get to understand what Pep is thinking in terms of how he wants to adapt to Haaland, and a lot of things will be clear, from now on. Pep was sure experimenting before the international break. Bayaji says Central Bernardo is a must in big games to cut out counters. Exactly, Bayaji. Even when we were picking out Bernardo Silva, that's what we were debating because United will look to pick up all of the loose balls. Bruno Fernandes, your Ericsson. Experts at giving long balls. They find anything loose in the midfield, just one pass. Anthony is in one pass. Jadon Sancho is in. Pep said we'll have to play the perfect game, which means that Pep has realized that is where Manchester United will be concentrating their energy on. Bernardo Silva is an absolute, and also another thing about Bernardo Silva is even Pep said it once. When the game gets tough, there will be certain players who will be demanding the ball, who will be like, I can play through the press. And Bernardo Silva is one of those players. He's like almost, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. I will take it forward. It's very rare, to have players who demand the ball in tough situations, and Bernardo Silva is the one. So I think Bernardo will play a box-to-box role alongside Rodri, and Kevin De Bruyne will play in a slightly attacking role. It will almost be a 4-3-3 triangle with Rodri and Bernardo Silva sitting. Vinay says feeling Grealish, Haaland, Foden. Yes, that's how it will be. Vinay, Grealish, Haaland, Foden. But Pep could actually pull out a surprise here, and he could he could also play Grealish in the midfield. But then in place of who? That's a question because Grealish is excellent at running at the players, but there seems to be no choice of fitting Grealish into the midfield. Vinay says. People say City ain't good without the ball. Ten Hag also plays possession. I'm afraid we'll concede with Ederson being just a defender. People who say that City aren't good without the ball might have just slept off for the last 3-4 years under Pep. I think because I know that opposition fans criticize us with that fact that City are all about possession. We are a possession based team, but it's not me who's saying, but it's Gary Neville, who's an ex-United legend. They say he always emphasizes, in all of his podcasts and all, he always emphasizes on the other side of City's play in terms of how we work our socks off. And Pep Guardiola also always says, it's not about the moments when you have the ball. It's not about when everything is going for you. It's about when you're suffering, when you're under the cosh. How do you work your backside off? And when people say that City aren't good without the ball. Every match, I don't mind it's against whom. Every match you see, and it's City's players who are in the top three. At least we have two players in the top three, top four who have run the farthest distance in terms of kilometers. So it's just opposition fans are just searching for things to beat City with. They're not good without the ball. Pep is just a one trick pony. Pep will be found out. Arsenal are coming. You know, the situation is so bad now that United fans are also supporting Arsenal to challenge City for the Premier League. It's so bad. That's what we have done done to this league actually. So City are absolutely fantastic with the ball and without the ball, and I mean all of Pep Guardiola teams have always been fantastic without the ball. So who do you think will be the game changer tomorrow? Which player? For me, I think Akanji will be the game changer tomorrow. Just in terms of his aggressiveness to come out with the ball, it's just mind-boggling. You know, where has this defense been? Why haven't top clubs gone for him? I know it's a bit of an injury concern and stuff, but Akanji is just, you know, that pairing of Ake Akanji. It just looks so good. It has the potential to be one of the best pairings in Europe this season if both of them stay injury free and fit. Vinay says United wingers will definitely give headache to Walker and Cancelo. Walker especially, Vinay Walker will be the target. But if we have the old Walker back, if we have the Rolls Royce Walker back, you know, Walker in some games, especially in his battles against Wilfried Zaha, for example, last season, before that, he just, you know, Walker is sometimes unplayable, you know, on his day when he has all of those juices running, when he has all of the concentration running. Walker is absolutely unbeatable, and Joao Cancelo will be interesting here. Joao Cancelo, I think Cancelo might face a bit of problem there, but I also think that the unique thing about Cancelo is Cancelo will drag the winger also with him, because Cancelo is much more attacking and he goes forward, and no one in the world will just leave Cancelo one on one with the opposite fullback, right? So the winger of United will have to go and defend with Cancelo. He just can't leave Diogo Dalot 1v1 with Cancelo. Cancelo will eat him for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then repeat it for another 10 days. So that would mean, you know, the attacking threat on that side would be nullified a bit, because there will not be any fast turnovers. But with the Walker side, I actually think that maybe he would need a bit of a help from Phil Foden. But then that is the speciality of Kyle Walker, right? In 1v1 defending, Kyle Walker, I think, is still one of the. I know his legs are getting older. I know age is catching up with him, but in terms of the experience, in terms of dealing with 1v1 fast paced wingers, Kyle Walker is just out of this world. He's a Rolls Royce, I would say. And Walker, we know that big moments spur Walker up. So, and I'm still, you know, I still won't budge by this fact that if we had Walker against Madrid in both the legs last season, we would have won the bloody Champions League last season, you know. Till the time Walker was on the field, Vinicius didn't even dare to get a thought of running at him. Forget about running at Walker. He didn't even dare to think about it. You can understand the mind process of what Walker makes you as an attacker. So Walker is again more than running at Walker. He destroys you mentally. First of all, seeing Walker over there. So the duel will be very interesting between Walker and the winger of United. But on his day, I would back Walker to get the job done. Cancelo would not be. I know there could be attacking threat, but he will drag the winger as well with him. So that side could be controlled in terms of with the movement of the player, like Pep Guardiola always says. So this is my lineup, guys, and hopefully we paint Manchester blue yet again, like we have been doing it since the last many decades. We do it again, you know. The dynamic is certainly changing. I don't care what fans of other clubs say. I don't care if fans of other clubs say we have history and City will never be able to be as big as us, despite the number of trophies you win, and all that is nonsense, guys. All that is shit. All that is crap, you know. I mean, the fact that you are having to rely on your history to compete against your rival tells that you're void in the present, tells that you're null in the present, tells that you don't have anything to hang on to in the present. So that is clearly a sign of an opponent who is on his knees, who has bowed down to his knees before us, who is almost weak, who is fragile. So United have already brought down before us. So I won't accept this that history and all of that said from United fans. They are already, the fact that not even a single United player can get into the combined 11, not now. It's been happening since a long, long time. This era of dominance, season after season after season. The fact that United fans have to talk about that. What is the weakness in City? We should, is it good enough for us to get out with a draw? Do we play for nil-nil? We should not concede a goal in the first 30 minutes. So the fact that United fans are talking in terms of those things tells you that they're already down on the knees. It's the era of City that is upcoming. So we are the history creators. We are the ones who are walking the present and will write the future. We are the ones who have 10 years ago looked at destiny in the eye and challenged the elite, the mammoth of Manchester United, and we have almost put them on the knees now. And that is a huge, huge task in itself. And we have completed that. How many clubs in the world can claim to say that they have completed that? City is special, and a special era is just coming in the next decade, the decade after as well. I'm so confident about this because the way we are run outside footballing this thing as well, the way we are run, we are really sustainable. We don't depend on, we have not been depending on owner funds for the last 4 or 5 years at least, and now we don't even depend on it at all. The net spend says it also. The entire, it's not just the football in dynamic, the dynamic in terms of transforming the area around Manchester, the dynamic in terms of creating a lot of employment, the dynamic in terms of making your academy world class, all the dynamic in terms of creating a footballing model, which reports are that other clubs are also looking at the City Football Group model of purchasing clubs in other countries. So it's almost a statement. It's a statement on the field and off the field as well, how football has to be played and how a football club has to be run. So it's a complete club, it's a complete model. That's why I'm sure we are gonna just ride into the future. Vinay says just want City to show character even if we concede, like Real's mentality. And Vinay, I think conceding first has almost become a habit for City, right? We have conceded not once but twice before answering against Crystal Palace. We have conceded first against no, against Newcastle. We scored the first goal. So I mean, conceding first is almost become like a habit for us. We are always able to get out of that. So I actually think that the mentality has changed. There's already a shift in the mentality. This season already we were down early on in games, and then we managed to pick up. That Crystal Palace game is a serious example, of how last season we would have lost that game. Last season you remember we were 2-0 down. Okay, we were a man down, but then we were 2-0 down and didn't show any character. This season it's changed. Even in the 80th minute you're 2-0 down, you believe. Even in the 60th minute you're 3-0 down, you believe. Teams are almost now beginning to feel that scoring against City early on is also sin. If you want to score against City, score against them in the 88th minute so that you can just time waste for the last 2-3 minutes. But yeah, Vinay, you're right. When you said you have to show character, see, the most important thing is at the end of the day, it's a football match, right? However, you play, the one thing we want is irrespective of the result, the one thing we want is for you to compete for every ball, for you to compete for every 50-50, go into every challenge with the passion of all of the Manchester City fans around the globe, to represent all of our passion in the way you play. That is what we want the players to do. And then the result is just the outcome. The result can go your way sometimes, it may not go your way sometimes. Well, that's life, that is destiny, right? But what is not acceptable is when you're down, not showing character, and showing passion. It doesn't matter what the score line is, fight till the end, fight till the last minute, and that is what we're looking forward to from this derby. Vinay says players must remember real game if United are all over City. I mean, players must also remember that the best teams, the legends, the champions are born in tough situations, under situations when they're under the cost, when they're under the suffering. So yeah, you're right. City will, people, all of us, including me, we were disappointed after the Real Madrid game. But who knows? Destiny has a strong way of, rewarding you if you learn lessons from things in the past. So who knows, this season Champions League semi-final or later stages final, nothing could be useful. It could be useful in tomorrow's game, when we could be United could just be all over us, and we could just cling on, learning from that experience, and then take the chance you have. So you're right. When you learn lessons from your past experiences, the experiences could have been very, very hurtful in that period, but they will surely reward you. That is what life is. Carlo Ancelotti is a clear example of the way he lost against Liverpool, right, in Istanbul. And look at it, whenever that situation comes, I'm sure he takes a leaf out of that book, that Istanbul book. Milan did it after that for him. After 2 years of that defeat, his Real Madrid teams have done that. So yeah, that last season, the disappointing things that have happened, not many, but the Champions League one is, it's just a lesson. Now looking back at it, it's a big lesson for us to learn from it. But the main thing is just, uh, just show that passion in how you play. Just go into the derby with all your heart, and that's what we ask as fans. And show character in all of the situations, whether you're down, whether you're up, and all. It's about fighting till the last moment. That is important. Result is a consequence of the way you fight. Result is a consequence of the way you don't give up in them situations. Says Haaland now to prove he'll score versus Martinez and Varane. That's a battle I'm very interested in seeing. But unlike a lot of people are telling, a lot of people are telling Martinez is short, and compared to Haaland, it's almost a difference of 1 feet or even more than 1 feet. I think Haaland and Martinez difference. But one thing about Lisandro Martinez is his positional sense, his intelligence of the game is very, very good. His reading of the game is very, very good, and he has also played as a CDM, for example, for Ajax. So his reading of the game will definitely be good. So for me, it will not be a mental, it will not be a physical battle like many people are telling Haaland Hyde versus Martinez. It will be a mental battle. It will be a battle where, it will be interesting to see the spaces in which Haaland will drag Martinez into, and will Martinez accept that, or will Martinez stay where he is? How will Martinez deal with the world class movement of Haaland? So it's going to be a tactical battle. It's going to be a battle of wits. It's going to be a battle of intelligence between Martinez and Haaland, and not just a physical battle. Football games are not just are never they've never been won just by physical battles alone. It most of the physicality is important. I accept it. See, Haaland just having physicality without world class movement and all, he would be 40% of the player he is, right? When Haaland doesn't score a goal, he's still important. When the legs of Haaland will go in the future, when he gets old, he will still be very important just because of his world-class movement. Where a Michael Owen just relied on his pace, where a Fernando Torres just relied on his pace, Erling Haaland will also rely on his world-class movement, which will extend the longevity of his career. So it will be a great battle, Martinez versus Haaland for me. Vinay says maybe Haaland will make way for KDB, Foden, Bernardo. Exactly, Vinay. That could actually be the game plan, with Haaland just whacking away the defenders and KDB running into that space. KDB is as much of a goal threat as Haaland. You just look at his goal scoring form in the international break, and even before that, KDB is just extremely hot this season. He just wants to get those numbers of 15 goals again, like he did last season. So Foden, I think Foden will be covered up, but yeah, KDB and Bernardo. See, this is where maybe a Gundogan could have been important to utilize that space left by Erling Haaland even more. But I would say, just seeing the overall game perspective, looking at the balance of the game, I actually think that Bernardo and KDB along with Rodri form the best midfield. But the battle will be interesting. But the tactical battle between Pep and Ten Hag also will be interesting. Ten Hag, and just another point about Ten Hag. Ten Hag is thinking that okay, Ten Hag can't play out from the back. He doesn't have the personnel now. He doesn't have the personnel maybe for the possession game. So Ten Hag for me is hiding behind the cover of counter-attacking threat. So can Pep just remove the veil of the counter-attacking thing from Ten Hag and throw it away? Can Pep actually put that stamp on Ten Hag? So just stomp him, because if he just demolish United tomorrow, then Ten Hag will be having doubts even about playing this counter-attacking system. People are thinking United's performance against Arsenal and things, and they are back. You should remember they struggled against Southampton. They just won the game because it was a controversial handball and all. Southampton deserved things from that game, they were ripped apart by Brentford from trying to play out from the back. So United, apart from the Arsenal result and the Arsenal result also, they got it on the counter. I'm glad they won against Arsenal because Arsenal is on the top of the table. But they were very. I mean, Arsenal were in the ascendancy and United hit them on the break. So United, like many people are thinking, turning on a new leaf and stuff. They haven't changed as much from the only thing in terms of counter-attacking, Okay, those midfield triangles, those midfield patterns are interesting under Ten Hag, but apart from that, their way of attacking is just the same, and the goalkeeper doesn't play out from the back, So it will be interesting what kind of a tactics Pep will come up against United tomorrow. Anyway, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you've enjoyed the video, please click on the like button and also to click on the bell icon and the subscribe button so that you get notifications whenever I come up with new videos. And see you all, guys. Take care. We'll have a live watch along on this channel for the derby. So see you all, guys, there, and take care.